Well, good job, guys. What a day today out there fishing, and it was pretty amazing. From a kind of a layman's point of view here, seeing what you guys did out there was pretty incredible, and seeing the mechanism that Tim put together to actually get the transducer in the water was phenomenal. So it leveled the playing field and got us all out there with the same transducers so we could do an apples to apples comparison. Just kind of curious, Eric, obviously on the TZT3 boat, what did you see today? What kind of stood out to you when you were out there?
You know, I don't have a whole lot of time on the new TZT3 TruEcho CHIRP dual channel system, but I was pretty impressed, honestly. Furuno's always had that auto fish and auto cruise mode. I left it in auto fish for most of the day, except when I wanted to pop out of that to do either history or go back and check the post-processing video game. And that was really cool. And I do that just to see whether the auto mode is up to snuff, So I popped it out, checked, but overall fish targets, fish sign looked really good. We had good fish targets on the 200 kilohertz and the 50 kilohertz. So right now we're in our auto mode jack on the TZtouch3 Fish Finder. You can see we have a dual frequency presentation. I'm showing auto mode, I'm showing auto fishing. So A and F mean auto fishing mode. We're right over the top of some awesome targets. What do you think we're looking at?
This right here, Eric, this is going to be a big school of amberjack,
All right.
and then this is going to be a school of blackfin tuna.
The nice thing is, this is in auto mode. You really don't have to do anything to get this kind of presentation on the display. We're just literally driving and drifting over the top of out here at the marathon hump, and you can just see just how sensitive the TZT3 Fish Finder is. This dual channel kilowatt performance, chirp with agile frequency combination. It's just amazing. That's just an amazing picture in 400, 500 feet of water right now. With that 275 kilohertz, with that 275 transducer, we're at 200 kilohertz, but the beam width is 40 degrees, so we're spreading that energy out a lot, and still we were punching down over 1,000 feet on high frequency, and low frequency was a big fat red line with really good fish targets as well. So no issues. A little bit of noise I did have, but I popped on the low interference rejection and knocked it out, and it worked really well. So no issues overall. Really, I would say excellent performance.
Jack, how about you? I know that you, on your boat currently, you run the DFF3 and 2 kW, right? I think is what you're running.
Yeah, the 2 kW on that.
Yeah, the 2 kW. How do you think this compared to, obviously this is a 1 kW unit, but just from your experience, how do you think that kind of compared to what you normally see out there?
It actually marked up the fish very well, and I was very impressed with it. I was able to decipher which ones were tuna, the amberjacks, and even the bottom fish we were marking on there too. With that, I would say, yeah, they could be queen snapper or almaco jacks that are hanging deeper. So, the marks were great. I was very impressed with that unit.
Awesome. Braden, how about you? What did you find out on the system you were on?
So I was on System C, and I had two things that actually surprised me out there in the deep. The first one was how well the high chirp did mark bottom. Being out that deep, we were from 500 to 1,200 feet. I kind of expected the high chirp to kind of fall off a little bit in that deeper water, but it really was giving me a good bottom. The fish targets, though, that were in the water column, seemed a little weak. I was expecting to see, a little bit better fish targets. I was seeing the arching, but they weren't a deep red. They were more of a faint blue target. I would have thought with a 1 kilowatt transducer, marking fish at only about 250, 300 feet down, I would have seen a little bit better target. Looking at System C, on the high chirp side, we're marking, some of those tunas, Cam was talking about, just below the thermocline. We're getting a little bit weaker mark on our thermocline, but we're seeing those marks, down here in about 200 feet, right? Those are your tuna?
And yeah, that's definitely the school of tuna there. You see the little
Excellent.
thermocline area that'll hit.
Yep.
They're always kind of hanging out there.
Yeah. So, we're seeing some other fish on the screen. We're definitely seeing that school of tuna. Would maybe want to see a little bit bigger, darker return.
Yeah.
Is that what you're used to seeing on yours?
Yeah. Usually with the Furuno, it's just a little more bold.
Okay.
A little more, so you can say it stands out.
The other thing that really surprised me was how noisy the low chirp was. There was so much noise, it was almost unusable. And I've spent a few days out on the water myself fishing, and low chirp is what I would have gone to all day right there. that's the first place I would have gone, you know, in that depth of water. So to see how noisy it was and how I really wasn't able to pick up any of those fish targets, you know, really did surprise me.
Cam, what was your thought on that? What did you see?
Thoughts along the same thing with Braden there. We had it on the high and low chirp, and you could kind of paint your picture that way looking at the system. But yeah, we thought we'd see a lot more with the low chirp being a 1 kilowatt, but you know, it was what it was.
Clayton, how about you? What system were you on and what did you see?
We were on system B, and you know, we kind of saw the same thing that you guys did, where you know, high chirp was marking, you know, in pretty decent water, you know, 600, 700, 800 feet, and we were up on the top of the hump and coming down the other side.
Yep.
You know, we were hammering the bottom, we were getting a red return, which, you know, with a high frequency, you wouldn't think you'd get a whole lot of. Right? The low frequency wasn't noisy for us, though.
Okay.
You know, it wasn't as cluttery that we couldn't use it. We were actually marking some fish. It just wasn't as strong as it should have been. But once we got into the shallow water, when we came in, you know, 200, 300 feet, we were hammering the bottom, and you could see every fish. We could see every shape. I mean, it was impressive. It shocked me how well it did.
So you were with Captain Manny. Manny, what did you think on that?
Other than the system glitching and us not being able to use all the features on it, it worked really well. The low chirp picked up very well. The high chirp, where we thought weren't going to pick up so well, it also performed well. And then when we did come in the shallow, it performed even better. Both of them, right? It even outdid the one that I run now. But we did have a lot of issues with the system itself. But at the end of the day, the chirp and the low and the high worked phenomenally. So, but other than that, you know, we did have a lot of more issues with the unit that would turn me away from, because it was such a headache. Either other than, you know, the issue that I've told you before, but
What issue is that?
it just kept for 4 different units we had to send back. It just had to keep flashing and rebooting, and then it would get locked out. Yeah. So and then we finally got it figured out, and it's been working pretty good.
Yeah, it's kind of similar to what we saw earlier on the way out.
Yeah, it's exactly what it was doing earlier, shutting on and off, cycling through. Good.
And just for the record, your current system is a System A system on there. It's not a Furuno system you're running, correct?
Yes.
Okay, all right. And speaking of System A, that brings us right to Tim here. What did you experience today?
Well, can we just repeat what Braden said? I ran into almost a like scenario where high chirp performed better than I expected, and low chirp was exceptionally noisy to the point where we were looking for ways to clean it up quite a bit. And I really wasn't expecting that, you know. I guess maybe because working for Furuno, I'm used to Furuno sounders, and they generally offer a clean image even in auto mode. And since we were running System A in auto mode an awful lot, I didn't expect to have to work on the low chirp as much as we had to get a nice clean image. It was very noisy right out of the box in all the auto modes, whereas high chirp was pretty clean. I didn't get the best fish target returns, but we did get good fish target returns. And like I said, I was really impressed with the bottom we were seeing at 1,000 feet on high chirp. And you know, I think that probably speaks to System A, as well as the Airmar TM 275 LHW transducer. It's just a really great transducer to work with. And one of the other things I saw that I think all of us on the boat liked, I was with Captain Mike, when we split the screen 3 ways, I was able to, you know, actually have 3 different frequencies on the screen at the same time with the combo sounders built into System A. So it was pretty neat to be able to compare those 3 different frequencies at one time and see what was actually happening, because you really can see a big difference, and it was really neat to see.
Let's go to Captain Mike real quick. What was your thought on the system that you had on there with Tim?
Like Tim was saying, the high chirp worked well. It marked the bottom really good. Low chirp pretty much stayed noisy most of the time, even playing with it a little bit. And once we got in our shallow water, I mean, it really took off. I mean, it marked well. It read the bottom well. I could tell what kind of fish were down there. You know, schools of bait, specific fish running through the bait. You had a pretty good idea of what you were looking at when it came to the high chirp. But like he was saying, the low chirp was very noisy, and it was a little tough to work with.
Okay. All right, Clayton, what do you have?
Well, what I was going to mention was that, you know, all of the systems, we're keeping them all in automatic mode, so we can kind of level the playing field so that we're all in the same, you know, footing with everybody else. So when we were out on the hump, you know, in 500-600 feet, we weren't picking up a whole lot. Like we said, it was kind of weak. We weren't getting very good with the high chirp. The low chirp was okay, but it could have been better. So just to test the theory, we took it, Manny and I took it out of auto and put it in the manual. And we could dial the gain up and we could get a really nice strong picture. We could almost turn the whole screen red. And we set it up to where we were getting just awesome targets. We just took away the clutter. It was gorgeous. And then switched it back to auto, and all of it goes away. So the auto mode seemed to be a little bit lacking when it came to, you know, what kind of detail it would give you, that you could get a lot better out of manual than you could, because you guys all run in manual, right? Because you guys know what you're doing. So anybody just buying one out of the box and going to turn it on doesn't know the difference, doesn't know how to run it. So that's also an important point, is to learn how to use it in manual mode so you can get what you want.
Well, good stuff, guys. And the good news is we get to do it again tomorrow with the multi-beam sonar. All right, so let's have a good night. Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you like, subscribe, and click on the bell below to get notifications for the next time we release new videos. Thanks a lot, and we'll see you next time.